what words come to your mind when you think about your first impressions of Vedica as early as 2015, 2016 when you met us? And how has that changed over the years? I'm going to start with you, Ma.
I can think of one word definitely. The first time I attended the governing council meeting before Vedika actually became a reality, the word is empowerment. I very strongly feel that, unless the women in our country step forward and take their rightful place, I don't think we can become a world power. And therefore, Vedika to me spelt empowering of young women, empowering of women who do not get to the so-called MBA colleges like Ahmedabad or anything like that, but giving an opportunity for other women, for young girls to still gather those skills so that they can go out and surprise people with what they can achieve. So that's what came to my mind when Vedika was born. Well, Vedika has certainly evolved wonderfully over the last 8 years that I have been associated and visited and spoken to the girls. The first two batches were tentative. I found even the girls were tentative and the faculty was still finding their feet. But now I see the change. When I meet, like I see the batch sitting here, far more confident. They enter the program with and with the intention of I am going to do well and I am going to succeed. I see that change over the years in the batches that have come in. I also have seen a change in the faculty, far more definitive about their role and what they are doing, and so very involved and committed in each and every child. I'm sorry, to me, you are like children, but you're young women actually. But so I have seen the way it has evolved and grown into a very, I won't just use the word successful, a very meaningful organization. And I'm so proud that I'm associated with Vedika.
Vedica has managed to keep up, that is retaining the diversity, because it is so important. It's now essential to be able to not only deal but understand what it can do for us. And the other thing that was very interesting, of course, which is still there, and I'm surprised that it's still a girls' college. Nobody is kind of, backing off, and, we are getting more and more girls. The same-sex colleges, girls have been known not to get along with each other. I've had students who said, my female bosses were the worst. It was ultimately it's them that killed me. But I don't think I think the training that is and the experiences that the girls are having, because ultimately it's not just, I was just telling a student, it's not just the teaching, it's what is going around it. And what you're learning by just entering a classroom, by handling your conflicts, working with people, all these kind of things actually are more contributory to the overall process of when you start working than the actual concepts of what is conflict and what is stress kind of thing. So that's
No, that's very nice, and I'm going to take a second to sort of just make 2 points. I get asked very often, Anuradha, as you dream of the future of Vedika, how are you going to improve the quality of your students? Because people think quality equals marks, and I think Vedika has proven year after year that marks are the laziest way to assess someone's potential, someone's promise, and someone's future. So I really hope that we never become lazy. And we are able to put what it takes to spot the promise and the potential of every young woman who comes to Vedica. And I feel great pride that we can deliver delta on whoever walks in, as opposed to say, guys, if you don't give me 95 percenters, I can't do anything with them. The fact that we have the kind of recruiters, the kind of roles on our campus today, despite the fact that we don't have an entrance exam, the fact that we don't have an academic cutoff, I think really keeps us, and I hope that, everybody here will constantly keep us honest on that front.
First of all I want to say is I just feel so emotionally connected to this institution. And because you asked Miss Ishwaran, there are two words that I want to say. When I was actually talking to Vedica the first time in 2016, there were two words, unique and ambitious. And I was concerned, will they make it? And I feel so proud to be sitting here because I've been through this journey, and for me, Vedika is outstanding. It's outstanding. I don't want to use the words that have been used by the earlier speakers, but I have to say, all of you sitting here just gives me so much confidence. I came from a background of a family of bankers and doctors, and I decided to actually fight my way and get into public relations. And I think what Anuradha is doing is paving the way for girls and women to choose what they want to do. So that is something that I definitely want to say over here. But what I do want to say otherwise is this program is not just about the mentees. The mentors benefit so much from it. I am a different person today. I've had 6 mentees over the years, and it's unfortunate that one year I decided not to do it because I was between jobs. But for me, it was an unlearning, totally an unlearning. And today I feel satisfied that all of them keep in touch. And when they have a situation which is concerning, and when it's happiness, they come back to me, and I can go back to them and talk to them as well. So that's what Vedika is doing. And to what I see today, confidence, personal branding, so much in the value system. I haven't seen that over the 2.5 decades that I worked everywhere. And I do want to address women bosses situation. I've had women bosses as well. And I'm a woman boss in an organization which had only men as directors till 4 years ago. And one of my colleagues, who's also a shadow mentor here, and she's not here today, is one of the first directors of that organization. And what my founder says is, the women in this organization make the difference. So guys, don't ever think of it for a moment. I was sitting with your mother a little while ago, Anuradha, and I was telling her how my husband and I had this retirement plan when we turned 50. And I think about it every day, that should I just stop doing what I want to do? But when I see you, I'm more and more inspired to just keep going ahead with what is meaningful in my life. So a big round of applause for you, and you can always count on me, because for me, I'm being selfish. I learn from all the women who are sitting here.
I did leave KPMG last week, but I asked my team to give me a few numbers, and I'll share them with you. Of all the students we've hired, 91% of students are high performers. That is top 15% of KPMG. So that's one. In the 8 years we have hired, at least 60% of the students have got 2 promotions. So, and this is exceptional. So that's my recruiter's perspective, right? So it's working very well for us, and we'll continue to take it forward. I have just switched companies this week. In fact, it's my 3rd day. So that's and I have had 8 mentees so far, and I have kept in touch with each one of them. So we speak. Some of them have now become friends. Mentoring is a two-way process. Like you said, I get to learn quite a bit. Phenomenal stories. They come from middle-class families in various parts of the country. Some of them are the only breadwinners, right? And if it wasn't for Vedica, the life would have been very, very different for them. So, from impacting one life at a time to now getting to 450 and more is a story, Anuradha, you have to be very proud of. So, and I walk into this room with the executives of the company, and there is not one lady. And I'll give you this example. I was in Dallas last week meeting with the leadership of this company. Not one lady in the room. It's a leading technology company, $6 billion, 200,000 people, 92 countries. In the US leadership of that company, there's not one lady. And a senior, and there is we click a picture at the end of the meeting, and we invite the receptionist to click the picture, and she's a lady, and somebody jokes, why don't we invite the receptionist into the picture? There'll be at least some diversity. So we have a huge problem to solve, and I'm particularly excited to be on this stage today because I promised you we are going to do a lot more with Vedica as I move into this new role of mine. So, I was in preparation for this panel discussion, I was reading an NPR article, and it said that there's only 1 in 5 women in India that are in formal workforce. Shamefully enough, it's lower than Pakistan and just about the same as Afghanistan as compared to Afghanistan prior to Taliban. So we have a lot of work to do.
We have a lot, and Abhishek, just in response to that, I mean, one of the visions that Vedika has is actually to become a platform for or an institution that is able to work very closely on policy.
Right.
And I was talking to somebody just yesterday saying that my dream is for the government of India to actually set up a national commission for women and work. Because my mother's a bureaucrat and we've had these conversations umpteen times that the government of India doesn't care about any of us in the room. If you're not destitute and if you're not a problem to solve, the government doesn't care about us. The fact that we are a part of the solution is the narrative that each of us has to do something to change. And I was saying the other day that unless there is a target, this is a very mission mode government. If there is no target about what percentage of the workforce should be women, let's say by 2030, why would then there be a plan in place? And this is such a simple suggestion. Please have a target for the percentage of women in the workforce by 2030. A target for some research. There is no data in our country, so how do you do evidence-based policy making on women in work? Who are the women, educated, urban educated women? Why are they not in the workforce? Why is it only 1 in 5? What would help them be in the workforce? This information doesn't exist.
Right.
It's sporadic. It's done by one particular or 5 researchers who are interested in it. At a systematic national level, we don't have this data. So I would, we are getting by and we are getting bigger and we are becoming self-sustaining, and hopefully we will be able to fund some of these things ourselves. But I think the funds that we want to receive are things that would help research and institutionalize this. The NSSO and the census need to gather this information. It needs to feed into evidence-based policy making, and there need to be some sort of mission mode kind of interventions, that put this on the agenda. We are not on the agenda. This room is not on the agenda.
Without any exception, I have only had female bosses so far. So, and I owe quite a lot of my success to them.
I'm looking at when I joined and now that I'm on this side of the table, I see future. I see this is the world that we are building for ourselves, and these are the women leaders who are eventually going to take over and solve for everything that we're hearing right now. And I agree with you. I've only had female bosses. I have worked in 4 different organizations, and in fact, I work at Coursera right now. So we had a leadership summit the last 2 days. My director, my immediate boss is a female. The partnerships director, female. Marketing VP, female. And the whole event for 2 days was led, executed, performed, delivered just by women. One thing that resonated with me so, I'm so fond of that statement till date in terms of just these women are so confident all the time. We were in a conference room doing one sense of facilitation. And one of the girls purposely chose the head seat, right? And I was like, is there a reason why you're sitting there because you have to facilitate and you have to perform? She's like, no, I'm just soaking it in, how it feels. Because someday I'm going to be leading, team meetings and businesses, and this is the chair that I'm going to sit on.
What is important and what we are lacking is collaboration. So in the search for leadership, we should not encourage only competitiveness to rise to the top, which I think Anuradha, and your policy isn't like that and your thoughts aren't like that. But to learn to collaborate, as we as a country are not very collaborative, even though we are, when we do cultures, we are fairly collective, but we are not very good at collaborating. And so even when we're looking at leadership, the leadership has to be so that people collaborate and then be leaders. Otherwise, we lose out on the collaborative bit. And in the long run, research has proved that collaboration is better than competition.
So I'm going to close with one word that keeps you with us, because we're going to strive to keep that value and attribute alive so that we go together and are able to carry all of you with us as we move forward.
A sense of happiness and fulfillment.
One, I like working with girls. I come from a girls only family, so for the and it's a very pleasant place. Everybody is really pleasant and polite, and you don't get that everywhere. So for me, it's not huge, but I come back every time because I want to come back.
For me, it's compassion. I see that across Vedica, not the students, but people who work with you. And I do want to say something more, which is what Tripti just said. There's somebody called Helen Keller, and I hope the girls in this room know her. There's so much you can do. There's so little you can do alone. And there's so much more you can do together. That's
Very
what
nice.
Vedica signifies for me.
For me, it's the words future. I think this is where the future belongs.
Like one word would be home, but this is a sense of belonging. This is a community, and like I said right in the beginning, this is the future. So I'm also selfish about learning from each other, because together we're stronger. And so yeah, this is like home.